Welcome back, everyone. We're joined now by Dr. Jims Jean-Jacques from St. Joseph Cardiology. Thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And we're here to talk about an important topic today, heart health, how to monitor it, and how to lower your risk for heart disease. And heart disease is something that affects a lot of people in America, more people than you might think.
Exactly. And unfortunately, more than 50% of the population affected by their heart don't even know that this is actually a concern. The other thing is, for a lot of individuals, more than 600,000 are affected and going to the emergency room or their hospital for something called cardiovascular disease. This is a combination of stroke and heart attacks. A lot of individuals, when you talk to them about their heart condition, they would say to you, well, I don't have time. Unfortunately, when you don't take times to take care of your heart, you will be forced to make time for your disease. So it is important not only to know your risk factors, but also ways to mitigate or to diminish the risk for heart conditions.
That's great, to have a proactive approach rather than be reactive.
That is correct. That is correct. And that's what we mentioned to patients, that there are two separate ways of understanding your heart condition. One of them is called modifiable, meaning certain things that you can do that can mitigate and decrease the heart. There is another one that is non-modifiable. For example, your age, if you have family history of heart condition, or your gender and all of those. Whereas the modifiable one are the one that you can do something about. For example, for individuals that smoke or drink alcohol in excess, those are modifiable. Patients that have high blood pressure or hypertension that is not controlled, or their blood sugar that is not controlled. Individuals, for example, that have a particular condition called sleep apnea that may require a CPAP. Again, those are modifiable risk factors that one can do.
Absolutely. And so can we go over some of the other warning signs that or risk factors that people should be aware of? I understand weight can also factor into that as well.
Weight can factor into this as well. Patients, for example, that have a sedentary lifestyle, unfortunately they're not moving around, that also increases their chances. Individual with a high stress level can also end up increasing their risk for cardiovascular disease or heart attack or stroke, like we talked about.
So there's so many of these things that you mentioned that we can change maybe in our daily lifestyle to lower our risk for heart disease. Talk about some of the small changes that you recommend for people that they can kind of try to make routine to improve their overall heart health.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because a lot of time people think that they have to make major momentum changes. Not at all. We're talking about small changes. For example, parking your car a little bit away so you can actually walk to work. Instead of taking the elevator, why don't you take the stairs? Instead of drinking that soda, why don't you increase your fluid intake with water? Instead of buying that conserved or preserved food, why don't you eat fresh fruit or vegetable instead? Talk to your primary about what is the goal blood pressure that they have in mind for you, or their goal blood sugar that they have in mind for you. Or talk to your primary if you have sleep apnea. Very minor changes that in the long run will play significant dividend to your health.
And always great to talk to a doctor if you have any of those concerns as well.
Exactly. And at St. Joseph Hospital, we are open arm. We are waiting for you. So if you have concern, question, by all means, either visit our website or call your primary at St. Joseph Hospital.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Jean-Jacques, for joining us to talk about this important topic today.